Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of E&Ftv. Today, we are joined by Stan Van Roij from Infor. He's going to be taking us through his background, obviously how he got into revenue management, what brought him up to his current role, also his thoughts on a number of current issues, but also what his thoughts are on the development of revenue management going into software businesses. So Stan, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us today.
Well, thank you, Tom. My pleasure. And hello, everybody, from my wonderful office here in Manhattan. This is actually our head office in Manhattan, and this is our view. It's quite spectacular.
Brilliant. Well, I'm in my living room, so I've tried to make it look as best as possible. But a Manhattan backdrop certainly beats mine. But that's fine. Thanks very much. Okay, so I suppose, as I said, first off, it's really giving people an understanding of how our revenue leaders and leaders in our industry have got into the roles that they're in. So it'd be great to understand sort of what your background is, how you got into revenue management, and of course, what brought you to your current role in the software business of Infor.
Right. Yeah, I've been a hotelier all my life. I started really, when I was 14 years old. I started selling ice creams at a beach resort, in a little cabana there, and ever since I was just fascinated by hotel industry. Done my fair share in operations, and when I was at the Renaissance Hotel in Brussels, I got an opportunity to lead what I called the sales administration department, which was a concept within Renaissance which brought in reservations, group reservations, meeting room reservations all together. And with that actually came, of course, the setting of rates, managing distribution, although there was no, I'm an old guy. There was no internet at those days, but there was GDS, and there were quite a number of offline partners which you needed to manage. And it came also with setting strategies for your meeting rooms, when to accept a group, yes or no. So, revenue management avant la lettre, I would almost say, at those days. I joined or I continued with Renaissance Hotels, which then became Marriott because they were acquired by Marriott not that long thereafter. And I moved to first London and then to Heidelberg in similar roles. And then when I was at a Marriott systems training, somebody said to me, okay, there is this position available for Director of Revenue Management, and I think you should apply. I think you really have what it takes to become, a Director of Revenue Management. So I thought about it over the weekend. I applied, did my, the whole process and got the job and became Director of Revenue Management for Marriott Hotels for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland at the time. After Marriott, I spent there a number of years, and after Marriott, I moved to a similar role with the Razor Hotel Group. At the time, they were called Radisson SAS, and then I'm from there. I moved to NH Hotels in similar roles. And during all these years, you kind of you work with revenue management solutions, but you also review, of course, a number of revenue management solutions, which got me in touch with that part of side of the business. And one day in late 2010, the owner of EasyRMS, which was then still a privately held company, asked me whether I was interested in joining them as managing director. So I thought a little bit about it and made the decision to join them, and really haven't regretted it ever since, even if only after 50 months after that, Infor acquired EasyRMS. So that was my second acquisition, in my career. But no, I haven't regretted it. It's different, but it's good fun. And today within Infor, I head up everything, everything related to revenue management. But next to that as well, I chair our product management team for our Cloud Suite hospitality solutions within Infor.
Wow. Okay. And I suppose sort of brings me on to my next question, but like you and like all of us, we're all feeling the difficulties of the pandemic and so on. I mean, how have the, I suppose, tech side of things been dealing with the pandemic? And I suppose what's going to be their involvement or their role in the recovery of the industry?
Yeah, there's a number of things. I mean, every vendor, of course, also plays the role of advisor and consultant. So there's a lot of things going on in our organization, not only for our revenue management team, but also for our property management team, sales and catering team, where we, give tips and tricks how to deal with stuff better and different. Technology-wise, you see a number of things. I can think of first, a move to the cloud, not only for hospitality, but also for other industries, but really a move to the cloud, which allows employees to work from home or from any location, really. And yes, hospitality works with guest-facing roles. Of course, that doesn't happen, but the non-guest-facing roles like accounting, like HR, like back office, why would you need to come into that office to perform your duties? So cloud is really an enablement for that. I think mobility is another one. I mean, for hotels, it's all about safety, hygiene, and social distancing. So mobility tools for guests to self check-in, self check-out, use digital keys, order food, make reservations in a restaurant. All that kind of functionality on your mobile ensures that there is contactless experience, and even allow, there are mobile applications already out there which allows you to turn on the television, etc. So you're not using the devices in the room, as an example. We also, within Infor, we also have some mobility for the employees of the hotel. So, for instance, for housekeeping, which would allow not only a paperless experience but also a contactless experience, managing, the floor and everything. I think the other thing, with that whole social distancing is the fact that, as a guest, you need a reservation for basically everything, not only for your restaurant or for your bar, but even, the fitness center or a workout room or the hairdresser in the lobby, right? And if you have a good table reservation or space reservation solution, that really helps you, manage that limited capacity and those limited time slots in a much better way than, an old-fashioned book. I think lastly, before I move to revenue management, because this is all operational, you see the surge of kiosks in hotel lobbies for checking in, checking out, cutting keys, but also in restaurants, in food halls and everything for food ordering, self-service food ordering, those kind of things. Revenue management wise, the solution, if you have a good revenue management solution, it does play a role. It helps you understand these patterns and trends, which are so different from before. It helps you identify that maybe, you used to have a large source market out of the US, which of course now is not coming anymore because of the travel restrictions. So you all of a sudden see more domestic business coming in or whatever the case may be. So a revenue management solution which has real-time relevant data will definitely help understand where the business is going for a revenue manager, together with maybe their marketing colleagues, to actually build then a plan moving forward. Forecasting is a topic which has been discussed quite a bit. How does a revenue management solution deal with all these, this situation? And I don't want to go and go deep into this, but there are two breeds of solutions out there. One which is the standard, maybe even rule-based solutions, which have a hard time catching up, and then you have the true cognitive solutions, which have really self-learning capabilities, machine learning methodologies. Those ones will be able to respond and react to the situation much better. It's unprecedented times. Is that a word? And it will not be 100% accurate, but it gets as accurate as it can, right? With things, and with that, it also gets into pricing of things. Pricing, I would think, is maybe the most trial and error. This period is going to be the most trial and error which we ever had in pricing. It needs some gut feel, but it still needs a revenue management solution which can actually help you. If you have a smart revenue management solution with real-time market data, it really understands how the market is evolving for you to make a pricing decision. So yes, I think that overall technology helps a lot, on operations as well as revenue strategy. I wish technology could actually drive demand and create demand, but unfortunately not so. Maybe that day will come soon. I don't know.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would be very happy with that if that ever was a thing.
Yeah, you never know.
In terms of something that I've seen not more recently, but just over the last year, if not 2 years, and something that I've actually spoken to you when you held that dinner in London, is that the sort of growth, or I've seen a lot more revenue managers anyway, leaving frontline revenue roles for, large brands or small hospitality groups, whatever it might be, and moving over to almost account management roles within software businesses. It's something obviously we've spoken about before. What's the draw? What's the reason that you're seeing more revenue managers that are coming over to software businesses? Because of course they have the expertise and they have the knowledge. I get that. But I suppose they're sort of stepping away from the brand that they're working in, going over to a software brand as an account management role. What do you think the draw is, and why are you seeing all of these revenue managers coming over?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think, I don't know for a fact. I mean, these are my thoughts around it. On one hand, of course, there are more revenue management solutions out there, and therefore revenue management vendors. So there is more opportunity out there for a revenue manager to go to the other side of the hotel industry. And maybe that also, if you compare that or combine that with, maybe still there is limited career opportunities available for revenue managers within their own organization. The revenue management community has always said, okay, one day a general manager should have a revenue management background, right? And I remember that was said already 10 years ago, so you would think that day has come now. But I'm not saying that revenue managers don't go into general management or don't go into, chief commercial roles and whatever, but it's still very limited. And that might as well maybe explain the draw to something else where there is different opportunities available to them. I recently had an interview with a candidate who really said, okay, I want to stay in revenue management, but I don't want to work for a hotel anymore. And, without going into the reasons why exactly, but she said, so for me, it's almost a natural evolution to work for a revenue management vendor because, I'm staying in revenue management, but it's going to be a complete different role. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. The conversations that I've had with people is it's just the variety of what they're going to be doing, the sort of the types of people they're going to be talking to. And as you said, in terms of revenue management, there's only so far or high you can go in terms of the commercial aspects of it, unless you go all the way up to sort of MD, CEO, something like that. But what I've seen in terms of the software side of things is people have started to see it as quite an exciting and new opportunity, rather than just being another hotel brand or another move in terms of my role. Maybe it's just a salary move, or maybe it's a larger property or a larger scope of what the view of their revenue management focus would be. But it's a completely new opportunity, new environment.
It is, but it is different. I remember when I moved, from one side to the other, or the dark side, as some people call it. I had to adjust. I had to adapt, because even if you're in a revenue management role or even a head office role, there is still this whole notion of guests, which, when you're a vendor, you don't have that notion anymore. You don't have your, you need to look at different KPIs. Everybody in the hotel looks at the daily report first thing in the morning, right? Those things don't happen in a vendor. You need to look at different things. So it is not similar, but like you said, it is something completely different, and therefore that maybe is the attraction while still being involved with revenue management.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Stan, obviously it'd be really good to understand, what's been going on at Infor in terms of anything exciting, anything new, innovative. You guys are always coming out with new products and so on. But yeah, it'd be good to understand what's going on at Infor at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with Infor. Infor is a large company. The hospitality business is part of a larger group, which I'm not going to go into right now. But yeah, there's quite some exciting stuff. Of course, everything I was telling before, in terms of technology, Infor is already available to provide that. Recently, we've developed a new smart pricing engine. which really helps set price, but it also helps identify who your true competitors actually are, and it helps you understand whether you're a price leader or a price follower in the market. So that's really a wonderful piece of technology, which we've spun off into a standalone pricing solution for hotels, which we call HPO, Infor Hospitality Price Optimizer.
Wow.
And it's really defined or designed for hotels that have a need on their pricing side and not ready yet maybe for a full revenue management solution. We've of course put that functionality as well in our full revenue management solution, as you might imagine. I think next to that. Within Infor, we've seen quite a number of exciting stuff, and I've mentioned our Cloud Suite Hospitality, where we bring in our PMS, our sales and catering solution, our point of sale, our table reservation, and revenue management into one suite of solutions with unique integrations. Think of stuff like empowering a sales and catering solution with selling strategies based on optimization and forecast, similar to what's happening on the PMS side of business, but now on the sales and catering side of business. Other things, we're developing and coming out with a call center tool for medium-sized groups of hotels who want to keep this in-house. We're looking at stuff like integrated upsell modules, which would be also optimized by the revenue management solution. Looking at enterprise-wide profile management across our solution. So, we would have one engine for profile management rather than each solution have its own. Things like in-app onboarding functionality, in-app chat functionality to reach support, those kind of things are coming on way. The list really goes on, and I don't want to bore you with all that kind of stuff, but yeah, some exciting stuff is happening at Infor for sure.
Definitely. It sounds like you guys are almost busier than ever, or as busy as you've always been.
Well, we've used our time well.
You certainly have.
Yes.
Stan, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I know that you are incredibly busy, and I do really appreciate it. So yeah, thank you so much for appearing on the show.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you for tuning into this episode. Please take a look at who's on the next episode now.